Hey, Shalom, brothers. This is the Apostle Rakah. All praises to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. All praises to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. All praises to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. Title of this video, it's all about faith. That's the title of this video. Got up this morning in nice early morning videos. So the spirit was on me because I was just pondering on, even as I was laying in the bed before I actually jumped up, I was pondering on this, man. Because everything we do, like we were ridiculed by certain other Israelite groups a couple of years ago, not too long ago, maybe 2-3 years ago, for being faith-based Israelites. Like they actually ridiculed us for that. They actually spoke evil of that. This whole thing is about faith. It's about faith, okay? If you don't have faith, then you can't be saved, okay? You can't be faithless because the Lord, that is something that is a requirement of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. Hey, man, how the hell do we get through each day in this wicked, evil kingdom, tolerating all this madness that we got to go through in this world? Okay, without snapping and going crazy and flipping out and getting carnal. The reason you don't get carnal is because faith is what keeps you, because you know what? Yahweh Shai said, wait thee upon me till I rise up to the prey. And Yahweh Shai said, behold, I come quickly, right? So if you really believe that in your heart, then you would have faith. But you know what? As the Apostle Gabar, the other Apostle Gabar always says, faith is a gift. Let's keep it real. It is. Because either you have it or you don't have it. Now, the point is, when you have brothers who fall out the truth, so to speak, okay, when I say fall out the truth, I mean straight up, just guys that they was doing the work, they was in the camp, they were doing videos, the whole nine. And hey, Shalom, brothers, we've had that. Dudes just resign. Hey, well, I'm leaving the camp, brother. I ain't gonna come to the camp no more. I'm resigning from the camp. And then they just leave, and then they just disappear, and just pretty much go back in the world, get with their woman, and go try to live their best life in this world. And my thing is, how could you do that? As wicked as this world, you got all kind of sodomite stuff going on, bestiality, pedophilia. I mean, this. Esau is running amok. Things in this world are worse than they ever were. Everything, man. The people, everybody, all the people in this world are out of order. This world is upside down, backwards, man. Women are totally out of order. The children are totally out of order. The family structure is no more. We're eating poison food, breathing poison air, drinking poison water and other liquids. Everything is wicked. Everything is just foul, man. So you going back into the world for what? For that? Well, it just means one thing. A person that would fall out the truth and go back into the world, they have no faith. They never had it. The time they was in the truth, they was just posing, pretending. You see? Because they lack faith. Well, hey, going back in time, once again, back in One West, in the 90s, we had a lot of guys. The school was big at one point. Well, I remember when I first came into school, it was still relatively small. You know what I mean? I mean, there were brothers there. I mean, we might have had, like, by the time I came into school, it might have been a couple of hundred. When I said, it might have been maybe 150 to 200 brothers in the school all together, maybe. I mean, all together, the whole school. It might have been like over 100 brothers in there. Maybe, I dare say maybe 150, and that's including the top elders, the top 7, King Masha, Happy Sariyah, and Yaikwab. I would say all together, and then, but there were different camps. I myself was in the Brooklyn camp, the camp that they call Sons of Thunder, but at that time it wasn't called Sons of Thunder. It was before it was called the SOT. It was just regular Brooklyn camp. And we spoke, me and the elder Big Gad, tall Big Gad. We both were original members of that camp. Uh, uh, then you had Apostle Tahar had his camp, and remember, most of us lived in Brooklyn, so that's why we got the camp in Brooklyn. Even the leaders of my camp, the brother from HODC, the elder Barak and Bunyamin, they were two of the leaders of that camp. But originally it was Barak from HODC and this other guy who fell out the truth. He's back in the world, Yashawan. You know what I mean? And then you had another guy, the leaders of that camp, they all pretty much went back in the world. Tazaban, he was like the sergeant at arms, he's back in the world. There was another brother, Arakai. I remember everybody who was in the camp. Oh, and by the way, the first brother, he was over the camp first, Kazak, the elder Kazak. He was one of the top elders of the school, top 7. He went back in the world. Even some of the guys that was in the top 7 went back in the world, right? But anyways, back then when I came into school, the school was still relatively, like I said, it might have been maybe 150 men, including the elders, top elders, all together. But it was big enough to where, of course, we had the camp in Brooklyn. Apostle Tahar. His camp was up on 44th and Broadway, which Apostle Tahar camp was the 44th camp that was up in Manhattan. And he spoke amongst the top elders of the school. And then even this guy, General Yohana, he was there. He had his own camp. I forgot where they spoke. I think they spoke somewhere in the Bronx too. General Yohana's camp. And then you had a few other, like generals, we called them back then. You had different guys that had their own camps. Okay. Most of the other camps kind of spoke in the Bronx. I said, our territory was Brooklyn. The Brooklyn camp with Yashawan and Barak. We spoke all throughout Brooklyn and Queens. We used to speak in Brooklyn, primarily Fulton and Hoyt. And then we also used to speak in Queens, Jamaica Avenue, Jamaica, Queens. Oh, well, yeah. We spoke in, yeah. Well, Apostle Tahar, that was originally his turf. Apostle Tahar, on Monday, the Apostle Tahar, back then, he used to speak up in Wall Street. But Apostle Tahar would go out there, his camp, the 44th camp, they would go out there Monday. But then, because then we used to go out and I was in the Brooklyn camp with Barak and Yashawan, we used to go out during the week speaking too. So Monday, I don't know where did we speak on Monday? I don't remember, but I know Tuesday we used to go to Wall Street. Yashawan, and it was, hey, fuck it, we gonna go, because Tuesday, Apostle Tahar's camp wasn't there. Apostle Tahar's camp was there that Monday, so the Brooklyn camp, we would go there, we would go to that spot. We would share spots too. We were all together, we were all one body. So, on Tuesday, I guess Yashawan had asked the Apostle Tahar at that time, hey, Tahar, it's cool if I go, I'm going to set my camp up in there. And he said, yeah, brother, yeah, go, So Tuesday, we used to speak on Wall Street in Manhattan. Wednesday, we would go back out to our main spot in Brooklyn, Fulton and Hoyt. And then, Thursday was a day off. Friday, we would go to Manhattan too. Because I think we used to go up, set up in that 44th spot on Friday nights. Then on Saturday, the main camp day, we would go back to Brooklyn, Fulton and Hoyt. But we mostly spoke in Brooklyn. So you had enough brothers. I mean, back then it might have been like 20 brothers per camp or something. 15 to 20 brothers, Then there was the 42nd Street camp. It was another group of guys that most of them fell off. This dude, Rakar Moff, and it was the elder Aria. You know what I mean? So that, we had different camps. But back then, like I said, when I first got to the school, it still was somewhat relatively small. There were brothers there, but it was still somewhat relatively small. But the overall point that I'm trying to get to, as the 90s went on, I came in 1990. So in 91, so it was like each year that I was, in the truth, in the school back then, the next year, 91, more brothers started coming in, more people started coming in. Shit, by 92, it really started growing. And then back then in New York City, we got someone that, like everybody in the city knew who we were. Yeah, that's them Israelites. That's them, because it became kind of popular. Because we used to walk around the city even when we wasn't speaking and all that, the headbands and the scarves with the shield of David. We used to have the jewelry back then, the shields of David and all blinged out. You know, so people would see us all over the place. Everybody knew, oh, that's them guys, that's them Israelites. So of course, a lot of people wanted to join because around that time, the Spirit used us. We kind of pushed the Muslims out the way. Because prior to that, this guy, Dr. York, Eman Issa, he kind of had New York locked down. Then we started setting up the oil tables and all that type of stuff. So we kind of took over. So, it got to a point you didn't even see the Muslims no more. It was us. You saw the Israelite brothers out there on oil tables. You seen us, speaking, walking all around the city. So it got to a point where it became famous. So Jake always wanted to go with the bandwagon. So a lot of Jakes, even the women were coming. We had a whole bunch of women in the school, right? A bunch of brothers. So by 93, 94, by the mid-90s, oh man, the school was real huge at that time. We probably had hundreds of brothers at that point, and brothers in the other states as well. We had a Boston camp back then. We had a California camp. There was an Arizona camp. There was a DC camp. All that. Baltimore camp. Yeah, we had camps. So the school, the One West grew because it became popular. You see, so but guess what? A large majority of them guys, where are they today? Maybe only very few of them are still around. And you see the ones that are still, case in point, Barack and Bunyamin from HODC, they go back then, the Spirit got it where they still doing the work, they still teaching, right? Certain people are still around, still teaching. You see what I'm saying? As far as One West, Apostle Tahar Gabal, myself, we're still here teaching, right? But the guys that are still holding on, still teaching, even after 30-something years, that takes faith. That's why I kind of told this little story before I get into the scriptures, just to give you a little, so I can see where I'm going with this. All those hundreds of guys that we had hundreds, New York and the other states, the majority of them dudes are back in the world. Some of them, certain guys died, certain guys went back to the spirit world. But a lot of them guys that are still alive, still breathing, a lot of them guys went back into the fucking world because they never had faith. If they had faith, they'd still be teaching. I know. Like I said, I'm no longer in the East Coast. I'm out here in Texas now. But not too long before I moved from the East Coast, when I was in Connecticut, New York still, I'd be moving around, taking care of business, moving around. I'd be down in New York, and I would actually run into these guys. The Spirit would have it where I would actually run into guys that I hadn't seen in maybe 30 years or 20 years, dudes that I knew from One West. And they'll see you sometimes. They'll do either two things. Either they'll try to avoid you altogether, or they will talk to you, hey, what's up, man? And they might try to call themselves, shalom, brother, right? They'll say shalom to you maybe. And then you, hey, brother, what's up? How you doing? Right? And then you might have a conversation with them, and they totally back in the world. They're like, yeah. And then the first thing they'll start talking about, One West. Of course, they'll start talking about how corrupt the school was. That's why I left. I found it wasn't true. And it's like, because you lack faith. Because you had faith in men. You were looking at the men, Lahab, Yeshaya, or even King Mashahab, Yusariyah, and those, and the men might have did certain things that were flawed. And we're men. We're going to do things that are flawed. But that's what Yahweh Shai is for, to forgive us of our sins. But regardless of all the book, man, you know how much, man, we tell brothers the stories. Myself, the apostle, and the other apostles, of all the madness we went through in One West. You figured we would have fell out the truth a long time ago, right? But no, we still going hard because we understood it. We had faith in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. But I'm going to start right here. I'm just going to read like 3 scriptures real quick. Okay? Hebrews 11:1. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. You see, what's the hope? Faith is the evidence of things hoped for. What's the hope? The hope is Yahweh Shai coming back here to deliver us. When you came in this truth, even all them guys that fell out the truth, even back in One West, even now, guys that have fell off, okay? And then certain guys fall off, and not only do they fall off, they become scoffers. The guys that fall off and they just go back into obscurity in the world, I could respect them, because at least they just say, fuck it, man, I ain't even gonna say nothing, I'm just gonna leave. But then some of you guys fall off and your ass hurt and you become scoffers. They become chief scoffers. They come against the word because they had no faith. You see what I'm saying? We're going to go to Ephesians 6 and 16. Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able, okay, to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked. Faith. Faith, if you have faith, that's exactly the darts of the wicked. The darts of the wicked are things that will pull you out this truth. You see what I'm saying? Get Satan, you allow the spiritual demon Satan to get in your head. Them demons are going to come at you, you see, and try to pull you out and away from this truth, man. But if you have that shield of faith, when Satan come with that shit, the spirit of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai is there to protect you and keep your spirit, because you have faith in Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai, so they protect you. That's the faith in Yahweh and Yahweh Shai. Now, this is St. John 7 and 38. He that believeth on me, as the scripture have said, out of his belly shall flow rivers of living water. And that's the word. That's deliverance. That's the spirit of Yahweh Shai, man. If you believe on Yahweh Shai, rivers of living water means deliverance. Yahweh Shai, if you believe in the word of Yahweh Shai and you act upon the word of Yahweh Shai, because the Bible said faith without works is dead, right? So what? You got to do the works. If you have faith, the Lord blesses you. Yahweh Shai sups with you, okay? And the living waters is this word. This word is a well that springs up into everlasting life, like Yahweh Shai told the Samaritan woman at the well. You see, by doing the work and following the words of Yahweh Shai, it's a well springing up into everlasting life. You will receive deliverance. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, man, with that, I'm going to end the video. I hope it was edifying. Okay, Salakia, in the beginning, I had to give that little summation just so y'all could understand where I was leading with this. I was trying to make an overall point, but I got my scriptures out here. So with that, I'll say shalom.